Well, I guess it seems fairly logical for a holiday to interrupt my schedule. See, today is Tuesday, my errand day, and today I was planning to go to the laundromat as per usual. Eh, thing is, this is recording on December 24th, 2019, at 10:54 hours. So yeah, first off, I wasn't sure if the laundromat was going to be open, so I waited until their normal opening time to call them up and see if they were open. They were, and they told me that they were full. Like, absolutely full. There's a line of people just waiting for a machine to use, and I sure really don't want to go there like that. So I instead just opted to stay here at home. I was taking bad care of my sleep schedule lately, and kind of tired, and not enough energy, a bit stressed. So I could use a little uh, rest time especially from what happened yesterday. Yesterday was supposed to be like sort of supplementary chore day. Like, I was supposed to do like the one or two chores that I didn't do on Sunday, the real chore day. But a little thing happened yesterday. But in order to tell you all of this, we're gonna need a bit of context. So we're gonna go back a fairly decent amount of time. This is before, I think, the past two recordings, that there's been a change to my household, to my room, that has influenced the way I organize myself and the way I work. And this in itself needs a little bit of context. So, from the top, here goes. I live alone, but I don't live in a house. I don't live in an apartment. I'm renting a bedroom. A single bedroom in a building that has a bathroom in it. I share the kitchen and internet access with the people on the floor, which are like another 6 rooms? No, 5 rooms? Another 5 rooms. We're all hooked up to the same router. So, I really have no problem with a relatively small space because it's got enough space. It's nice and cozy. It's a nice neighborhood. And I specifically wanted the rent to be cheap, so that I can buy myself nice things like burgers and pizzas and good coffee and all different sorts of tea and things like a Google Home Mini. So a couple months back, I'd say a few months back, I got myself a Google Home Mini because I was just looking at it and I was intrigued from the premise of it. What caught my attention was that on my phone is the alarm app that comes with the phone. Since it's a Moto G6, it comes with the standard Google alarm app. And the alarm app has a little option to trigger a Google Assistant routine as soon as the alarm sounds. I took a look at the settings, and you can have your phone tell you your reminders, your events, your the weather, and among other things. And you can, after it's done telling you all that, it can play a podcast. So I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. That's gonna help me. That's definitely gonna help me get out of bed. So I, while still inside the alarm app, set it up, and then I ventured outside of the. Speaking of, oh man, okay. So I was. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, I ventured outside the alarm app and went into the Google app and saw, oh, I can configure different routines from here. I was like, okay, how about I automatically configure the assistant to put my phone on Do Not Disturb when I say bedtime, okay? How about I configure it to take the phone off Do Not Disturb 1 hour and 30 minutes after the alarm goes off? And I started playing around with these little things, and then I started to look into the Google Home. And I was like, I really could use getting away from my phone, and the Google Home Mini isn't really that expensive. So I said, why not? So I bought it, and I set it up, and it was lovely. Because the thing that really tipped me over the edge of buying an actual speaker, instead of just winging it with my phone, was that with the bedtime routine, if you spoke the bedtime command to the phone would play what it calls sleepy time sounds. which could be rolling thunder or rolling creek or ocean sounds or country night sounds or just soundscapes that are supposed to help you sleep. And I really like that, but I didn't like it playing off the phone. I have some Bluetooth speakers that are kind of distant, and honestly, I don't really like how they sound. I, I got them as a gift, and I don't like how they sound. They just kind of make my desk look a bit cool, I guess. I don't know. And so I thought, what if I got a speaker that's actually dedicated to that? So I got the speaker, and I set it up, and okay, I'm gonna have to hook it up to this, to the public network. No biggie. It's just one open device, and I don't think anyone on my floor really knows a whole lot about tech. So I set it up, and worked like a charm. The soundscapes sound way better, and the podcast sounded way better. I had it on my desk, which was, I mean, it's not that big of a room, so it sounded okay from the desk, and I had it there for a nice amount of time. What it has helped me to do is to build my morning routine. So what would happen is it would wake me up. It would tell me the events in the day, the weather, so that I knew if I needed a sweater or not. And started to play a podcast. I set it up to play the podcast at a nice volume, like just loud enough to like try to get me out of bed, but not too loud. And that's it. It helps me wake up. I go do my own thing, take a shower, go to, oh, no, okay. What? My phone went off. I'm gonna, um, okay. I don't know, maybe I said Google, and my phone kind of misheard. I don't know. Where was I? Right, and it automatically at 9:30, which is the time that I was supposed to, like, sit down and have breakfast, it would disable Do Not Disturb from my phone, so I could check up on my messages and my email and stuff. It didn't really work out that well. That specific part didn't work out that well, because more often than not, I would not be seated by 9:30 p.m. In time for breakfast, and so it would go off when I was, like, still like, doing my hair or something, or putting on some clothes. But it was pretty cool. After that, now, this is way, way later. I eventually took the Google Home Mini off the desk. I bought an extension cord, and using plenty of double-sided tape, I taped it to the wall, and I used the extension cord to extend it to somewhere that's more in the middle of the room, and raised from the floor. And it sounded better, it could hear me better, and responded better, so that was a pretty good thing to do. But after that, we're talking, I'd say, 2 weeks ago, or 1 week ago, I think it was 1 week ago, I bought a Philips Hue light with the bridge. Yes, I did do a little bit of research, and yes, it needs this white box in order for it to work. And here's why. I have these 2 boxes that I got from my favorite stationery store, and I took them home, and I opened up the bridge, and it said that you need to hook it up directly to the router that is going to be used with the network. I'm like, like it doesn't, you can't hook it up through Wi-Fi. You have to hook it up directly with an Ethernet cable. And this immediately caused a bit of concern, because I wasn't going to leave my new shiny white little box outside in the hallway, just hooked up to the router. I wasn't going to do that. Now, let me say something that probably isn't going to come as a surprise to anyone. I really like my tech, and when I get my crummy little paws on a new toy, I like to get my hands dirty with it. I want to see what it can do, and I want to really get in there. So, I had an idea. I have this, like, simple old router. I don't remember where I got it from. Probably, it was a long time ago, but I had it lying around in my stuff. And I set it up as what it calls a client mode. I set it up into what it calls itself a client mode, where it basically acts as a Wi-Fi to Ethernet adapter. It only has one Ethernet port. And what it does when it's set up this way is that it basically just makes it so that whatever you plug into the Ethernet port of the router, it acts as if you're connecting it directly to the main router. And so I hooked up this router, my own router, to the main one, and plugged my Philips Hue hub into that, and it worked just fine. So this also integrated into my morning routine. Continuing with the routine, there was this like shutdown routine, sort of like end of day routine, where at 11 a.m. the speaker would remind me to go to bed. And when I finally got to bed, I would say bedtime. I was a bit afraid there, but I have to say the hot word first. I would say bedtime, and it would put my phone on Do Not Disturb. It would ask me at what time would I like to wake up the next day, and it would play the sleepy time sounds just for 1 hour. If you activate the sleepy time sounds like manually, it would just play them indefinitely. So by using the bedtime command, it only plays them for 1 hour, which is good. So now that the Philips light was part of the system now, I set it up so that in the morning it would start turning on like little by little. And then as the alarm went off, it would be okay, so full brightness. And a little after the alarm, Google would take the bulb and switch it to daylight color. Oh, for fuck, no. Okay, give me a sec. I'm just gonna chuck my phone, and I'm gonna turn off the microphone.
The mic's off.
Yeah, I know. So now with the new bulb, I started to play around with it, and the first thing I thought is, wow, I feel like I'm in freaking Gmod. Like, literally any color on the color wheel, I could just zoom around my finger on the screen, and just literally any color. So, yeah, I brought it home, and I got it to work, and I just played around with it a bunch. Basically took all morning. That was nice. And I set it up so that it would, Google would take the light bulb and turn it to daylight mode a bit after the alarm went off. And right now, part of like the shutdown routine is that, and this started a little bit ago, if you recall, I started recording at 10:54 hours. At 11 hours, well, I think you heard my speaker remind me that I need to go to bed soon, and the light turned from bright daylight color to a nice, warm, soft color. So, and it's getting less and less bright by the minute, and I really hope I can make it before it turns off, because I shut down all the mics, so I'm gonna have to stand up again in order to turn it on. Okay, so. Now, here's where things started to get a little weird, because sometimes I would wake up, and Google would hear me wanting to turn off the light because I wanted to snooze the alarm, or change the light color or brightness because I was waking up late or something, or just anything with the light. But me in bed, trying to get the light to work, and Google just says, Philips Hue isn't responding, so I have to get out of bed. I take a look at the Hue bridge that's hooked up to the router, and it says that it has no internet connection. It has three LEDs on the top. One's power, one's like wired connection, and one is access to the internet. The access to the internet one was just blinking, meaning that it wasn't connected for some reason. Here's where I thought about this for a second. The average person on this floor would have, like, say, 1 or 2 devices, on average. A phone and something else, be it a laptop or a TV or something, I don't know. I was hooking up now 4 devices to this thing. Not only that, but all 4 devices needed to constantly communicate with each other and the internet. So maybe I thought I was taxing the poor old cheap hallway router, perhaps a bit. That, and I was also getting worried that I was hooking up more things to this network that more people had access to. So I sort of kind of went and compulsively bought a router. Sort of. Well, I didn't sort of buy the router. I did buy the router, but okay. I buy the router. It's a nice router. I didn't go for like the cheapest one on there. I went for the brand that I like, and which I think is a good brand, and I always liked it. The router itself looks pretty, and it's I think not a very effective, but a somewhat I wouldn't call it reliable. It's a way to judge a router is to see how many antennas it has, and this one's got 3. Just looking at a router that has 3 antennas, you say, oh, this thing will work for whatever you might want it for. So the idea was that I would wirelessly connect the hallway router with this new router and have all my devices connect to the new one. They would be in communication with each other, and they would be linked to the main one with the internet. Maybe some sort of variant on the client mode that the old router had. I snooped around. I thought that function was called multi-SSID, which multi-SSID is something else. It's for when you want a single network to have different names and different passwords. But I wanted I just wanted like some way to like connect these two routers and have my new router with new passcodes and have access to the internet with the old router. So, people who know their shit are probably rolling their eyes at me right now because I looked around, and I think the only way to do this wirelessly is through a little thing called WDS. So WDS, Wireless Distribution System, is, instead of connecting a router to another router through a cable, it's simply you input the credentials and the SSID into one router, and it takes a look at that, and it connects to that network. That's it. But this wireless connection, would act exactly the same as a wired connection, making it so that if the first router has internet and the second one doesn't, the second one can, share internet through its devices. Now, in paper, this sounds pretty freaking awesome. This is exactly what I need. This is, it's really going to be this simple. It wasn't that simple. So, yesterday morning, for starters, I get off from work at 7, plus a little bit of paperwork, give or take, 7:30. I'm already at the bus stop to head home. Now, if I walk a little bit further from the bus stop, I'll get to this stationery store, and there's where I saw the router that I had already laid eyes on. Thing is, it's 7:30, and the store opens at 8. So okay, I'm gonna go to a convenience store and buy myself a yogurt or something. I'm gonna walk around, maybe take a few pictures of the parking lot or whatever. So I don't know. Listen to a podcast a little bit, come back, store's open, go in, get the router, go home. I come home, and I set up the router. At this point, I'm just excited because it's a shiny new toy, and it looks pretty nice, and yeah, I like it. So I without setting up any wiring or anything, I just plugged it into the nearest free outlet and started connecting to it. And I told the router to hook up to the main router in the hallway, and it sort of didn't work really. And it really, it was connected, and it showed it was connected, but I wasn't getting any internet through it. So I was like, all right, what gives? I looked some stuff up, and I start reading up on this, WDS, it's supposed to do this and this and this, but it's very finicky, and you have to do this and this and this to get it right. And I'm like, what? Why? Okay, sure. What is it? And it started to explain how it's preferable to have static IP addresses if you're gonna link up a bunch, or if it's just technical crap that I even get bored of. So I'm just looking through this stuff, and on one forum thread, I saw that, you have to enable WDS on both devices. I'm like, okay, oh, yeah, sure, that makes sense. So I try to connect to the other one, and I do. I enable it, and boom, that's just about it. They're connected. So I connect back to my own without connecting to the main one, and still no internet. I'm like, okay, what now? And then it starts talking about, the DNS settings or some shit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go look for the DNS settings or some shit. But here's the thing. What happened next was that when I tried to connect to the settings page of my router, it redirected me to the configuration settings of the hallway router. Yeah, I disabled Wi-Fi on my computer. I connected it directly to my router, the new one, through an Ethernet cable. I tried to access the new router configuration page, and it still redirected me to the other one. And I was like, okay, like, the connection from the new one to the hallway one is working. Why aren't you giving me internet? So I just started fidgeting with it like a bunch, and like I was like snooping around on the settings page of the hallway router, and it just all of a sudden popped me over to the new router settings page. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but that's kind of like what I wanted. Okay, so I start fidgeting around in there, and it suddenly just kind of tosses me over to the hallway settings page. And I'm like, why? Okay. And I'm just endlessly fumbling around with these two freaking routers, and just looking at forum post after forum post, each and every one of these people complaining about just how fidgety and like flimsy WDS is. Like, one of the things that they recommend you do in order to get it as right as possible is to have them be from the same manufacturer, because apparently the standards for DNS aren't the same, which, okay, I get it, but it's really dumb. So I at one point, like, kind of sort of like, just fucking screw this. Like, I have like multiple windows open. I have like the wireless, the network status window open. I have the browser open, and all of a sudden I see on the network status window connected to the internet. I'm like, I check which router am I connected to. I'm connected wirelessly to the new one. The new router that's just connected to the wall outlet and nothing else. It has internet access, apparently, now, for some reason. And I'm like, what? So I go on, and I play a YouTube video. I play some Star Trek through Netflix. I do a speed test. The speed test, the speed test shows that it has exactly the same speed, like download speed, upload speed, and ping, as if it were directly connected to the main router. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome, I guess. Like, it solved itself, maybe? But, like, I was connected to the new router, and it functioned like, it actually functioned like I expected it to function, perhaps a bit better. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I did, but it worked. So I'm gonna set up my other devices. Okay, so I go on my phone, I connect to the new router, and it doesn't work. It's connected, but it has no internet. So now you're looking at me searching for freaking forum posts saying, hey, WDS, internet through WDS works on my computer, but not on Android. I'm like, oh yeah, the DNS settings, the DNS settings. Just look at the DNS settings. You'll figure it out. Like, okay, so at this point, I'm already like just kind of goddamn. Like, I was already like ready to call it quits. But you get this like new spark of hope for like, oh, like this is working perfectly. Now you just have to figure out this little component right over here. It's like restart the phone and forget the credentials and reconnect or something. So I do all these things, and while I do all these things, the computer just loses the connection for some reason. Like, I didn't touch it. Like, it was already fine. It's like a freaking Jenga tower. It's like, okay, it looks good. Just don't touch it. Don't touch it, or it'll fall down. And you'll have to start from the beginning. I didn't touch it, but the connection was screwy again. There wasn't internet anymore for some reason, and the sorry. And I was like, okay. I look at my phone and I remember that there was a little bit of important adult stuff that I had scheduled for today, that I was supposed to be in the bank like 3 hours ago, handing in paperwork. And so I said, screw this. I have to do this today. I've been putting it off, like, for weeks now. For 2 weeks. And I need to do this today. Like, there's literally no other day. Like, holiday season is around the corner. I need to get this done today. So I go out and I do it. I turn in my some paperwork, and they look me up in the system, and it turns out that I'm gonna have to show up again later on this week. And I'm like, okay, fine, sure, it's for the best anyway. So I come home and I see the router, and I'm like, this shit's gonna get done today. So I try again. Like, I went to the bank on foot. It's like 20-minute walk, maybe. This gave me enough time to think about what the hell I was even doing. And I said, okay, WDS, it's not gonna work. How will I be able to do this? And I was like, okay, I didn't want to do this, but I'm gonna have to do it. Like so. I'm gonna have the new router just acting as a normal access point, like a normal router. Like taking internet from a wired connection and transmitting it through Wi-Fi, like a normal ass router. And this was going to get its wired internet connection from my old router on client mode. The router settings of the old router, of my own little old router, wouldn't have to be changed. It would still be in client mode, but instead of feeding the Hue bridge, it would be feeding my main new router. So I resigned to do this because it was like the only feasible way. And I set it up. I set up on this secluded shelf these 3 boxes. the old router that's acting as a client, that's receiving the signal, that's connected to the hallway router. This is plugged in, feeding internet to the new router, and the new router that's connected to the Hue bridge, giving it network access and internet. These 3 boxes that are just jumbled up on top of each other, each one of them with their AC adapter just dangling from the shelf down to the power strip. I'm looking at it right now and it still looks hilarious as hell. I'm still sort of proud of this, but not really, but I sort of am. And the light is getting dimmer and I'm getting sadder but it works. It works. It all works very well. And now I have my own private network where I connect everything. And this is like my own little private, it's my own little private network that only I have access to, and it gets its internet from like a single source, and communications from like say the light bulb to the speaker, and the speaker to the phone, and the phone to the phone to the light, and the phone to the speaker. Like it actually is a bit faster. The connection of the original problem was the connection from the Hue bridge to the internet. Like that's stable now. So yeah, problems solved after a whole goddamn morning of fucking with the router systems and the things and the stuff. And I'm gonna have a drink I'm gonna have a sip of tea because fucking. So I leave it working. It's, I'd say, perhaps 2 hours past my bedtime. Because after this is done, I just put a frickin' microwave pizza into the oven. I eat the frickin' pizza. And I watch some Netflix, and then I'm like, I want to fucking rant about this. So I go on Tumblr, and I write out like these 2-3 paragraphs of what happened. And then I said, like, why? Why am I writing all of this out when I could just record it and post it as a podcast instead? So here I am. I wasn't planning on recording today, but I'd say the occasion called for it. Besides, recording was a bit overdue, and Google Home was a topic that I was intending to speak of sooner or later, and I'm just not too thrilled on the fact that it had to be brought up like this. After that, only a little minor thing happened where I updated the firmware, like, on the next morning. I said, I should maybe update I should update the firmware, like, it has a couple features that the factory version didn't have. So I update the firmware, and it resets the settings. The changed admin credentials and the changed Wi-Fi password, those are gone. So all of the devices that I had hooked up to it didn't work. And I already had to go leave for work. This was just a little thing I had that I thought I could do over some tea, but no, obviously not. So right now I got home and I set up the admin credentials again, and I set up the Wi-Fi password again, and we're good. Just a little minor hiccup. The new firmware, uh, after all the stuff that happened yesterday, like, this is like whatever. Like, that's just like whatever. Well, it seems like this is gonna be the last recording of the year, so better, better late than never, I guess. This little thing that it's a bit of a time-sensitive subject that I had always been intending to touch upon is this. I've mentioned the Cortex podcast a couple times before on here, so you know, if you listen to that podcast, you'll know that I have a yearly theme. I may or may not link to episodes that explain what this is, but long story short, like the idea is that yearly resolutions stink. Like, you never actually do them because they're set goals. But what a yearly theme is just a phrase or an idea to orient the choices you make and the goals you set for that year. Say, this year for me was, I titled it, 2019, Year of the Grind. That was the theme. And under that theme were the choices of working, just focusing on work a decent amount just to get money, because I had a debt to pay off and I have a financial goal to meet. Grinding at artwork because I want to get better, and just several little choices like reducing recreational spending, which didn't really turn out that well. The debt was paid. I got a bunch of neat stuff that was that improved my quality of life a bunch in this year. And oh my god, the light is getting dimmer. And the yeah, it's just an idea to help you make choices, to help you set goals. That's just about it. But after what happened, after not being able to spend some vacation time without project work, after having a stress overload because of not having dedicated recreational time, and because of some other personal matters, I was not paying attention to myself. I was paying attention to perhaps my comfort, but as far as that goes, I was focusing on like my ability and my financial output, but I wasn't really focusing on me. So this year, 2020. God, just saying that out loud. 2020. 2020. The year that I can just tell a light bulb to turn whatever color I want. That I could tell a computer to arrange an event on my calendar, or a reminder, or to add something to my shopping list, or set a timer to play a show that I want, just telling it to do what I want. The year that we have little pocket computers that manage our lives, and that we have a network that connects us all. 2020. Like, I guess everyone was a kid. 2020 sounded like the future, and now we're here, and it pretty much is. I'm thankful for that. And, looking back at this year, I'd say a more appropriate theme, at least for me personally, is the year of being okay. Because the struggles that I had with my time management and being able to do what I like as much as I can, like, I was putting stuff above me. I was putting everything above me. And, well, yeah, I mean, everything was okay. Except me, I guess. So, this year is the year of being okay. Dedicating more time to quality recreational time, better time management oriented towards that. Trying to bring more focus to my recreational time as well. I'm talking to friends a bit more often now. And as for the personal stuff, well, it's getting sorted out too. So yeah, guess the new focus of the year is the year of being okay. Now, of course, project work will always be gratifying for me. So, of course, putting out quality project work will be part of this, and bettering my craft and doing what I like to do and what I love to do is part of me being okay. So it's not going to change. It's going to change is everything around it, and the way I manage it, and the stuff that I do outside of it. So this recording right here will probably not come out until way after today. Like, one of the things I'm focusing on is to getting more episodes out. Like, right now I'm editing episode 4. And this right now is episode 8, I believe. So we still got some work to do. But I don't know where you are in the year, but Alright, yeah, I'm gonna cut a bunch of this thing. I'm gonna cut a bunch of this out.